guests,
dear colleagues and dear friends,
I am honored to be opening the second annual conference of the Network Society.
as Professor Huang and
So
Professor
Lu have noted,
the idea and our wish to
bring Lefebvre to the center
of our dialogue
So our wish to bring Lefebvre to the center of our dialogue has emerged more than 1 year ago, and in fact it was already present in between the lines of the Institute's inaugural conference. And like many research spaces in China who naively thirst for digitalization, the Network Society Institute chose to take a critical stance. The Institute affirms its ambition to describe the political mutations brought about by the Internet and to imagine new potentials for society. Last year, under the title of Forces of Reticulation, international and local scholars envisioned material, ecological, aesthetic, and social modes of existence for the Internet. After this reticular expansion, Professor Lu and myself wanted to delve into space, wanted to sink below the surface in order to reveal the powerful interaction between the rise of technology and the space of the city. In that matter, no other thinker seemed more powerful than Lefebvre to stimulate our critical instinct and to feed our desire to experiment collectively. Henri Lefebvre, who experienced the 20th century in full length, was himself a total and creative man. As an intellectual, every decade of his 90-year-long life, he strived to reinvent himself, to probe new ideas. As a living person, he was always inquisitive, exploring the world, going forward. As a researcher, he worked with his body, discovering the streets of Paris behind the wheel as a taxi driver, before developing and teaching his unique interpretation of Marx at university. As a writer, he produced more than 60 books, translated today in many different languages, constantly grappling in his texts with the metamorphosis he was witnessing. As a thinker, he did more than just create a theoretical system. To use the words of Andy Merrifield, who could not join us for the conference, Lefebvre brings theoretical sustenance to anyone who writes and thinks at his contact. But Lefebvre was also a committed utopian. His thought kept venturing into new areas, and the fruits of his intellectual enterprise compel us today to move with our time and to challenge the movements of our time. But Lefebvre was also a committed utopian, I just said. Therefore, more than just rereading Lefebvre, we must engage like him in the critical and creative effort of describing and imagining life. Professor Lu often told me, jokingly but seriously and provokingly, that as we research new media in China, we shouldn't just be understanding WeChat from Lefebvre, but we should also try to understand Lefebvre from WeChat. This dialectic motivation is at the core of our conference. At a time when our quotidian experience relies on technical devices owned by new hegemonic and industrial corporations, we need Lefebvre's critique of how the language of commodity colonized everyday life. At a time when the implementation of the so-called smart policies reconfigure the very texture of our cities, we need to update Lefebvre's theories of urban space to see how digital geographies modify our physical and mental sense of the world. At a time when Google, Amazon, Facebook, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent have gained new powers to connect and to represent billions of users across the globe, we need to take Lefebvre's perspective further. We must see how those transnational companies affect the rules of our political economy and alter the roles of the states. So today we are thrilled and honored to welcome our 10 guest speakers. All accepted our invitation and took up the challenge to not just return to Lefebvre, but to depart from him, so as to bring his critique forward. And this is the true meaning of Another Walk with Lefebvre. With the first panel this morning, Marxist Philosophy and Critical Methods, Liu Haiyu and Simona De Simoni will present to us the dynamic evolution of Lefebvre's theories and the potential that his research still yields to understand local and global mutations. This afternoon, in our second panel, Today This is Digital Every Day, Michael Gardner and Alfie Baum will delve in our quotidian experience, grasping the tensions between boredom and enjoyment between freedom and control in our hyper-mediatized daily experience. Tomorrow morning, Lucas Stanek, Li Zi and Li Hao will offer us a unique and original light on Lefebvre's spatial imagination. They will outline new architectural possibilities and new digital topographies. And tomorrow afternoon, during our final panel, Ned Rositer, Shinizo Kushi, and Fan Ling will address the ways in which algorithmic modes of production challenge our conceptions of state, of power, and of emancipation. Lefebvre believed in moments, and these 2 days together will offer us unique moments to discuss, to reflect, and to imagine in common. Moments for Lefebvre were always playful interventions and creative inventions. Moments like today demand the courage to be romantic, the will to transform our experience of the world. So with Professor Huang and Professor Lu, as well as the amazing team of the INS together, we hope you all take a chance to enter the moment in this beautiful space here by the West Lake. Finally, by borrowing Lefebvre's world, we invite you to cherish and to love the bubbling of ideas that burst new and fresh. Thank you very much and welcome to everyone.